you know, famous for a while, and it was just amazing.
That's a lot to be able to look back on. So do you kind of just see that as a memory? You're not going to be trying to be in the entertainment field anymore? Or?
I don't know about entertainment fields in terms of Korean-speaking entertainment, but I got this job at TBS, which I love. Like, I love radio.
Current position, your current job, right?
My current job.
Yeah.
Radio, I love doing it. It's like a dream come true. And my co-host is great, you know, Sam and I. We've got great hoop, you know, timing together, kind of, we've been working together for 2.5 years now. And he's great to work with. Every day is
another
new.
Very fluent Korean speaker.
Oh, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Koreans, he's like a monster when he speaks Korean. It's just, wah. And I know it's a weird way of describing
monster
it. It's like a monster.
Okay.
It's a compliment.
Korean-speaking monster, yes. But, so that's a great ability for the both of you to understand the culture and the language that way. And, because I assume the majority of your listeners are Korean.
Yes,
but
I would say
you
so.
also, I hear it from foreigners constantly. You know, I make a magazine for foreigners. You're on a radio show that's for foreigners. I hear from foreigners all the time that they just love having TBS out there to learn what's happening and to have something they can listen to that is about Korea.
Exactly. And I think as well, it's nice, especially for foreigners who drive in Korea. I know there aren't lots and lots, but there are some, especially people who work in the military or people who work at embassies and in offices. They said the best thing when they're driving to turn a radio on and they have the option to listen to TBS, hear news in English, weather and traffic in English, listen to, you know, pop music and popular music from back home. I think they really like that. And it's great as well. If they have questions, they know they can ask TBS and someone will answer.
Right. And hear about Korea in English.
Yes.
Right? That's the thing that's missing. I mean, you can listen to some of the English news and some of the English, but it's about, it's English
news
from a different country or whatever. But this is about Korea in English.
Domestic issues, which you don't get from any other radio station.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love doing radio. It's so much fun. I have a lot of fun with Sam. And I honestly think if you have fun when you're broadcasting or doing radio or doing whatever, listeners can feel that. And, you know, in turn, they have fun as well. You know, if we're laughing together, I find as well when I'm listening to the radio, if there are two people laughing and having fun, I find myself smiling and laughing as well. Even if it's not particularly funny, it's just the energy, I think, is such a great thing.
And so how much longer, I mean, you can never predict these things, I know. You have no clue, but do you have any plans outside of that for your future? Or right now you're just happy doing TBS and that's what you're going to do?
Happy doing TBS, loving my job, you know, loving my husband. I guess in a few years, 2 or 3 years, we'll have to start thinking about very, you know, Park Jr., you know, small Mr. Park and Miss Park and things like that. But at the moment, I'm just really enjoying, you know, living in the now and, yeah, and just enjoying my life in Korea. And I can't really, you know, everyone says, well, wouldn't you want to go back to the UK? And maybe one day,
Thank you. That was the question I was going to ask. Go ahead.
I mean, maybe one day I have like an idea of going back. I don't know when, you know. I always say to myself, you'll know when the time is right, but there never seems to be a right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there won't be, and maybe you just spend the rest of your life in Korea. Huh?
It wouldn't be such a bad thing.
No, it's a pretty fun place to be. So what about, tell me a little bit about the British culture as far as tea goes. We were talking a little bit, my writer says, you got to ask her about this tea thing because it's so interesting. So tell us a little bit about that tea culture.
Tea culture, yeah. British people are obsessed with tea.
Yeah.
We believe that tea can solve the problems of the world. It doesn't matter what problem or issue you're going through, a cup of tea will solve everything.
Just have a cup of tea, yeah.
I used to come home and if I was upset or angry, and I'd talk to my mother, and before we talked, she'd say, wait a minute, I'll just put the kettle on.
Right.
And she'd turn on the kettle, make us cups of tea,
Yes, yes.
and we'd sit down and we'd talk about it while we drink tea.
Very British. Yes.
Very British.
Yes.
But
Just a spot of tea, right?
Just
Don't
a
you
spot
use that?
of tea.
Yeah, spot of tea.
Just a pot of tea.
There's a good British expression that
Yeah.
we never use in America.
A
How
spot
about
of
a spot of tea?
Spot of tea.
Uh-huh.
Love a spot of tea.
Uh-huh.
And like there's fun names as well, you know. First thing in the morning we have tea in bed, early tea. And I guess then around 11 o'clock we have morning tea. We call that 11s.
Oh, really?
And then in the afternoon around 4 o'clock, another cup of tea. That's high tea.
High tea.
Yeah, and then if you have it at lunchtime, we have it usually with, you know, scones or some kind of pastry. That's long tea.
Okay.
And then, of course, cup of tea before I go to bed.
No
a lot of
nickname
tea.
for that one?
That's my bedtime tea.
Bedtime tea. 11Z's, long tea, high tea, and bedtime tea.
Bedtime tea.
Okay.
I don't
And
know
then-
if that's a proper name, something I
Yeah,
call
okay,
it.
okay. Speaking of British obsessions, you
Yeah.
British people have another obsession, don't you? The soccer.
Football.
We're getting all these cultural differences. I call them cookies, you call them
Biscuits.
biscuits. I call it soccer.
Football.
Football.
That's
Or
right.
You call it chuku, right?
Yeah, football. It's funny because I guess a lot of countries around the world do call it soccer. Soccer.
A lot, really?
Yeah,
I thought that was only America.
No, I think America, North America, Korea as well. You know, Koreans talk to me about soccer.
Oh, really?
I guess Koreans who particularly love football
Yeah.
and they know a lot about British culture
Yeah.
will make an effort to say football to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
But if you do
Rest of
ever,
the world calls it football.
but if you do ever get the chance to go to England or the UK, don't call it soccer. Don't do it.
No.
People will get angry,
Yeah.
very angry,
Yeah.
irrationally
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
And I
Especially
guess
nobody bald. Don't say it to a bald guy.
a bald, angry man wearing a football shirt.
Yeah,
Don't
no.
do it. And I guess it's to differentiate with American football, which is just football for you.
Yeah, there you go. For us, football is 미식축구, which is
which is strange.
you
'cause
don't use your feet.
You don't really use your feet. You kind of carry it.
Yeah.
And but you know, whatever rocks your boat.
Well, that's-
So yeah, British people crazy about football.
Right.
My nephew, he eats, sleeps, drinks, lives
Really?
football.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. When he was young, he wouldn't.
Who's he a fan of?
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. He's a big fan of Arsenal. When he
We
was,
don't like Man U then.
You know, well, I'm not a fan of Man U, but I understand that lots of people are.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice. Don't get yourself in trouble.
I do like Park Ji-sung. He's a wonderful football player. I
Okay.
just wish he wouldn't score so many goals for Man U.
Against Arsenal
yeah,
in
against,
particular.
Well, my nephew is an Arsenal supporter. I'm a Liverpool supporter
Ah.
because obviously I'm from up north. But my nephew